Just the head bopping. I did say a couple of weeks ago, it just goes well. Just a do. Yeah, it's great fun. But anyway, welcome everybody. Welcome back to Fourth Tier Fever. Hope you all had a great week. I hope you're all doing well. As you can maybe see, if you're watching this again on YouTube, it's me again. We're down to we're quite depleted again. No Leak this week. Still no Kieran. He'll get out of bed one day. But we are joined by Jake, who is back after his holiday. So, Jake, how are you? How was the holiday?
I'm good, thanks. Holiday was good, but nothing quite like League Two action yesterday. The game was a little bit odd, but can't wait to just get back on the podcast, get watching League Two football again.
Yeah, exactly. It sounded like you went to some exciting places, from the lovely sites of Marbella to Rome to Bradford. Did you go yesterday?
Yeah, quite a downfall.
Yeah, it's the way it's just progressively got worse throughout the week. I mean, nothing on Marbella and Rome, two lovely places. Anyway, let's get into it. I guess we should start. You know what? I'm going to start with Gillingham this week because I mean we all know what's happened there, but we'll touch on the game briefly because the game was not a spectacle by any means. They won 1-0. Tom Lapsley with a scruffy goal about 15 minutes from time. It looked a bit of an improved performance from Morecambe from a couple of weeks have gone in which they struggled against Walsall and really struggled against Huddersfield, although I expected them to sort of struggle against Huddersfield, if I'm going to be perfectly honest. But it did sound like an improved performance from them. 1-0 win for the Gills, two wins to start the season. But the big news in the week was obviously an incoming of theirs. The return of Bradley Dack. Now, it's on paper, it looks a hell of a signing. And I think for League Two, it's certainly got that intent of maybe someone like, what's his face from Stockport, Nick Powell, potentially. It's a great signing, but you look at the injury record of him in recent years, and it's not the best. Jay, I wanted to just get your thoughts on it. What did you make of the signing when it happened?
Yeah, a couple of years ago, he was probably on the verge of the Premier League, but injuries had just sort of held him back. So it's really interesting to see him come back to League Two. Because if he's injury-free, they'll have one hell of a player that can really help them going forward.
Absolutely. I mean, on his day, he's just too good for League Two. But yeah, it's just that hit with injuries because he's not had a real consistent run for quite a long time now. So he'd be hoping to get back to it. Like I said, keep him fit. I'd probably argue he's the best player in League Two by quite a distance. The bloke oozes class. He's got so much quality. But yeah, we looked at. I mean, we did mention the game yesterday. We've sort of just gone off topic with that. Tom Lapsley, with it, it's 2 wins from 2 for Gillingham to start the season. 2 wins for 2 for Mark Bonner. Certainly started off well, haven't they?
Yeah, great start, and they're not showing any of the problems they had last season going forward. Obviously, scoring 4 against Carlisle is such a big improvement from last season. They've still got a tight defence. Everything's just coming together nicely for them, and they just need to keep it going. Once Bradley Dack's back, that'll be another huge boost going forward. They could really push this season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the money that they've spent, the squad that they've got, I'll be amazed if they're not in and around certainly around the conversation for possibly even top 3. I think their squad on paper is that good, and Mark Bonner is that good of a manager. Just touch briefly on Morecambe. We know their off-field issues, and they've really struggled in their first few games. 3 games in, 2 in the league and 1 in the Carabao Cup. No wins, 3 defeats. Haven't scored yet. It's certainly been a tough start, and I think they've got Doncaster next week. So, although they lost yesterday, which we'll get to that, it's certainly not been the best of starts for them. But it's probably expected when I think with maybe the players they brought in. I know with their 15-player, I say just in one go. I didn't think there was any real star quality there, but it did sound like an improved performance yesterday. But yeah, they really need to get that sort of result, but they also need to find that goal as quick as they can, can't they?
Yeah, it would have been a surprise if they started the season on fire, just because it's another season with another huge squad turnover. So they've got no continuity going into this season. Derek Adams is back again. That's sort of a new manager, sort of a new system for many of the players. So it's going to take time for them, but they can get going. But it's just getting that sooner or later.
Yeah, it's exactly that. We know, or Morecambe fans will know more than anyone that Derek Adams is a top quality manager. I mean, he's been there about 17 times, so it'll be in and around there for a long time. We all know the clubs he's managed before. If there's anyone, I said this at the start. I know that. I mean, if you look at it on paper, Morecambe's squad does look weak. It does look really weak. There's a couple of names in there that I quite like, but a lot of them doesn't really spring out, if I'm going to be honest. But like I said, if there's anyone that could pull a rabbit out of the hat this year, it is Derek Adams. Just because of his previous record and what he's done before, as much as I think he's a little bit of a prick, to be honest. But there's no denying there's a good manager in there. But yeah, they've certainly taken their time to get their act together. I mean, they start the season before this, the changeover of players, he had about 4 players on this squad. I had Gwion Edwards. There was a couple of others, a couple of youth lads in there. So it is going to get. It's probably going to take a bit of time for everyone to match in. But yeah, I'd have been amazed if Morecambe got anything out of yesterday. To be honest, it sounded like it did sound like a close game. And Gillingham won it sort of with us. It was a scrappy goal. Looking at it with a Tom Lapsley tap in from, I think Shadoji hit the post beforehand as well. But it's a good win for Gills, and good sides find a way, and they certainly did. So yeah, 2 from 2 to start the season for them. We'll move on. The game that caught my interest, especially early on, was the events that happened at Crewe. I think it's just safe to say that Chesterfield ran absolutely rampant, didn't they?
Yeah, they went 4-0 up in 24 minutes, and then Crewe made a number of changes, and nothing really improved. I'm going Chesterfield away next week, and I'm already not looking forward to it. It could be a long day, but Crewe just very slow start again. We said we were worried about goals, and turns out we need to be worried about the defence, because especially for, I think it was the third one, there was 3 players in the box, and the ball goes across the box, and James Berry can tap it in. Like, no one notices him, and there's 3 Crewe defenders in the box. It's just been more alive, and just deal with it better.
Yeah, just deal with it better. I felt they could have dealt with all the goals slightly better. I mean, the worst possible start for Berry. I really like the look of Berry, actually. For the glimpses I've seen of him, it's a really nice hit to start with for the first. But I mean, Crewe have to do better with that. The second was a corner from Grigg. It's a good header, but could they do better? Could the keeper do better? I think I'm right in saying Marshall maybe got a hand on it. The third one, I thought the third goal actually was it the third? I can't remember. It was Berry. Yeah, Berry. Yeah, Berry's goal. It was really nice build-up play from Crewe, actually. With the likes of Grigg being involved. Mark Hande played a big role in this game, actually. That's a good signing, actually. They signed him in a week, didn't they, from Blackburn, I think at League 2. He could be good. And he showed his quality at times as well. But yeah, the 3-0 in, 13 minutes, was it? I mean, I was checking the results on my phone. I mean, yeah, it's not a great look. 4-0 after half an hour, and I saw that 3 changes were made in like the 35th minute. You don't really see that often, and I mean, Chesterfield did what they needed to do. Got a 5th goal just after half time, but yeah, huge concerns for Crewe. Already, I think, obviously losing on the opening day. A lot of the comments were quite doom and gloom. There's a lot of negativity going around Crewe. Understandably as well, losing 5-0 at home is pathetic. I think whatever club you are, but we've mentioned their sort of unfanciness. I guess is probably what it is, but I do think I look at Crewe's home record in particular, dating back to last season. I think around the end of March, they've had some absolutely stinking results at home. I mean, they lost 3-0 to us. They lost 3-0 to Forest Green. I think lost 3-0 to Wrexham. Although that might have been later on. And then this season already losing 5-0 to Chesterfield on their opening home game. Is maybe the pressure on Lee Bell a little bit? Do you think?
Yeah, probably slightly, because in the playoffs they were poor. They were poor for the first leg against Doncaster, and then they rescued it in the second leg. Went to Wembley and didn't really show anything promising. And then to start the season, 2 games, conceding 6 goals, not scoring, not an impressive window either. Lots of big players gone. There could be a lot of pressure on him in a couple of weeks' time, and it wouldn't surprise me if he's one of the first to go.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a shame for a good, I say good 3/4 of last season. I was really impressed with Crewe, really impressed with Lee Bell. He did a terrific job. But I don't know what it is. I know that I think they had a few injuries at the back end of last season. But the way they've tailed off, and it sort of carried on into this season. All right, they made the playoff final. But yeah, I thought they were really underwhelming in that. Crawley deserved to win. Yeah, underwhelming is what I've been. I didn't expect him to have the season they had last year. Because I thought, if they did, Lee Bell would simply not be in this division. He'd probably go higher up. Although it depends with his loyalty for Crewe. I guess he's a bit loyal, isn't he? But I really liked his post-match interview yesterday. As honest as you can be. But I do feel like I've heard a few of Lee Bell's in the past as well. I just feel like we're starting to get to this. You might as well just play the one from like the week before. It's pretty much just carbon copy. And yeah, you mentioned about the signings as well. Lost some big names. They did, didn't they? I mean, a striker that lost to Gills, who name escapes me. Elliot Nevitt, that's the one. But yeah, Kane Hemmings, he's okay, but he's a bit now. Omar Bogles maybe got goals in him. Bit injury prone, a bit inconsistent, and I know I sense from the last few clubs, maybe not Newport as such, but last few clubs, he's maybe got a bit of an attitude problem. Not convinced on the goalkeeper. Philip Marshall had a horrid time at MK Dons, as Luke would tell you. And Sanders, yeah, just not sure. It suited it, but yeah, I don't know. There's certainly a lot of work to do, but I do think the pressure's on him slightly now. To turn it around. We all know what Crewe are. They've not got the biggest budget in the league by any stretch of the imagination or anything like that. But you can't be losing 5-0 at home. It's as simple as that. But Paul Cook, yeah, we all know that he's a good manager. Chesterfield plays some lovely stuff. It seems like, for me, Chesterfield had an identity yesterday, whereas for a large part of yesterday, Crewe didn't. I'm not sure what you thought.
Yeah, I completely agree. Chesterfield just knew what they were doing, and it didn't feel like Crewe knew what they were going to do. Because obviously Crewe made all those subs and changed the formation at 4-0 down after 35 minutes. So I'm not even sure they knew what they were doing or how they were going to cope. So it's worrying because you'd think that they'd know what they're going to do for Chesterfield.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great win. Look, great win for Chesterfield, by the way. Going away from home, scoring 5, their first win back in the EFL. Great day for them, and I imagine that'll live long in the memory of quite a few supporters from them, actually. They've waited a long time for that moment, so yeah, good win for them. We'll move on. We'll go Doncaster Rovers. Obviously, starting the season like a house on fire, beating Accrington Stanley 4-1 last week, beating Salford in the cup the other night, in which they've got a trip to Goodison Park for it, lucky bastards. But they've a trip to Newport, and they've sort of come unstuck. I mean, Owen Bailey scored a terrific goal, actually. And then in the second half, Newport really seemed to click it on, turn it on. It's probably the wrong expression, but it's certainly early days. But it's a cracking victory for Newport.
Yeah, it's their first victory since March because they ended the season on horrible form. In the second half, they just looked really, really good. Newport. Kai Whitmore, that goal was really, really good. He could be one to watch this season. New signing coming over from the Welsh leagues. Matt Baker got his first goal for Newport after he's been on different loan spells there. It looked really good for Newport. There were a lot going forward. And Doncaster, after what they did last week, just not sure. They need to step it up.
Yeah, I mean, it's still early days, isn't it? I guess, but I mean, I mentioned about Bailey's goal. Carl, you mentioned Kai Whitmore, fucking brilliant goal from him. The strike there. I mean, Baker's goal there. I mean, you mentioned some of those players. I was really impressed looking at the hearts of Bobby Camwer. I believe that's how you say his name, Bobby Camwer. He looks a real tricky player and one that potentially Newport could be relying on this season.
Yeah, he looked really promising. I mean, I don't think he's going to be too happy with Baker Richardson after he stole the goal.
No, because he reeled away in celebration, claiming it was his, wasn't it? No, it's clearly Baker Richardson's goal, but yeah, can't imagine he's too best pleased with that. With Doncaster, I know obviously they've started off well, couple of wins in the league and cup. I know we expect him to be up there. It's probably too early to say because second game into the league season, but I don't know. What do you think of him? Do you maybe see this as maybe like a little bit of a blip? I hate saying blip at this stage because just don't think it's 2 games in, but I can't think of another word for it.
Yeah, they need to. They probably will improve. It's nothing to be over worried about. You don't lose the league or get relegated on match 2, so they'll turn it around. They want to win the league. They know that isn't good enough, and I'm sure Grant McCann knows what he's going to do to turn it around.
Yeah, exactly. There's still loads of time for it as well. Now they'll be looking for a sponsor. Like I said, they play Morecambe next week. I think with them struggling as they are at the minute, it's a good opportunity for them to get back into winning ways. Yeah, I rate Grant McCann massively. Some of the business that Doncaster have done this season has been, on the face of it, really good. They certainly got all the credentials of being at the top end of the table just from their business alone. So yeah, that's them. I just think it's an important win. Like I said, important win for Newport, but also for Nelson Jardim as well. His first win as a manager. How big was that for him?
It'll be huge. He came so close last week to getting his first point, and then a last-minute goal by Cheltenham just stole it off him at the depth. So it's a big, important win for them, and Nelson Jardim will be delighted.
Yeah, he will. I mean, very close to getting something out of Cheltenham last week from 2 goals down, clawing it back to 2-2, to only be undone right at the end. I can imagine that would have hurt him, but this week he's got that win that he's wanted. I mean, it's encouraging as well. 5 goals scored for Newport already a season after 2 games. It's encouraging stuff for a side that is predicted to not do that well, if I'm going to be perfectly honest. So, yeah, it's a great win for them. You mentioned Cheltenham. Let's go to them. They obviously played my team yesterday, Grimsby Town. If you look at Cheltenham's games for their first 2, it is the exact opposite of what they had on the opening day. They obviously beat Newport 3-2 on the opening day. They were 2-0 up. Newport then flew back to 2-2, and then they won it at the end last week. This week, they were 2-0 down to my team, Grimsby. They clawed it back to 2-2, and they lost it right at the end. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. Much better from Grimsby for my team compared to what it was Fleetwood last week. I thought we played well against Bradford in the cup, but that's for a discussion. I thought the goals were really good. Really brilliant cross for Charles Vernon to find Jordan. It's going to be one of those things. Don't fall in love with a lone player. I feel like I'm going to get that with Jordan Davies. You can tell he looked a cut above yesterday. Charles Vernon, superb strike for the second. Really good build-up play from Greeny as well, Kieran Green, which sort of goes a bit unnoticed. And then we sort of shat the bed a little bit. I think this is probably the main topic. I think defensively for both goals, I thought they were poor, if I'm going to be honest. Luke Young got the first. Felt like we should have got him better. Should have closed him down quicker. Second one, he had chances to clear it away. We didn't. Chances to block the cross. We didn't. And we get punished for it. And then free kick, about 20-25 yards, right at the edge of the box. Jordan Davies. What a man. The hero finds the bottom corner to give us our first win of this season. What did you make of it, Jay? I mean, big win for Grimsby early on. I think after the response last week from sort of how disappointing they were at Fleetwood, that would have done them the world of good.
Yeah, it's important to get that first win early on, and especially at home. The 2 goals were really good, the first 2, and then it just sort of fell apart again. And then obviously Jordan Davies just to rescue it in the last minute. It's just a piece of magic that gives everyone a boost.
Yeah, exactly. I think there were shades when we did throw it away. There were shades of what we were last season. We've thrown the most points away from winning positions out there any other side last year. There were sort of shades of that. But the encouraging thing is we've been playing some lovely football over the past few games, even against Bradford. I do maybe look at it. We do maybe tire a little bit, but that'll come with games. That'll improve. yeah, we play some lovely on the eye football, and the fact that we've still got some of our big names to return from injury, the likes of Doug Thorne, the likes of Curtis Thompson. When Danny Rose is 100%, I know he's on the bench and he only got a couple of minutes yesterday. Once he's back 100%, once we've got Yasin Van Voorsen back as well, this could be a really fun team to watch. But for Cheltenham, they certainly seem a fun team, don't they? They can score goals, but they also can concede them, looking at it.
Yeah, it's like Notts County last season. Both of Cheltenham's goals came off players who came off the bench, and then the assist was another player who came off the bench. It does look promising for Michael Flynn's side, but they just need to shore up defensively and just make sure that they are scoring and just not conceding as many.
Yeah, exactly. I thought they did have some good chances, to their credit. Nothing really that clear cut other than the goals. It's sort of made for a good game, but you could certainly see that he had something about them. I think their centre half in particular, their number 18, his name escapes me, but I mean he looked an absolute tank, to be fair to him. We all know Matty Taylor's got goals in him. Luke Young brings that experience from Wrexham. I'm just going off the goal scorers from yesterday for them, but we all know his experience. It sort of just seemed like a very much a Wrexham reunion with Luke Young and Jordan Davies, but no, it's great win. I think we really needed that response after Fleetwood, because like I said, how below par I thought we were. I mean, we moved the ball well, but possession meant for nothing. No shots on target. We didn't look like scoring. So it was important we get that win. A tough game at Notts County to come on Thursday night for us as well. But yeah, Cheltenham will be gutted with that one. We mentioned Notts County. We just come off their game actually, because we'd normally have a set start time, but we waited a little bit later because of Notts County playing Fleetwood. Did you watch the game, Jake?
Yeah, it was a really interesting game with Fleetwood taking the lead and then going 2-0 up just after half time when Notts County had been really dominant, and then Notts County still looked a bit flat and then got one back. Then Matty Palmer came on and they've really dominated the game, won a late penalty and scored it. And should they have won it? Probably, but there's still a lot of the same problems. They still need a goal scorer and they still need to just shore up that defence a little bit more.
I just think, I think with the goals, I think the first one, I mean, has just lost his man. To be honest, for their goal, I think it was Graded. I think his name was. And then they had that start of the second half what they did with Brendan Wide, who's scoring, absolute unit of a bloke he is, absolute quality player. But yeah, I mean they just don't deal with it well. I think I'm right in saying it was Bass that saved it and sort of just like recycled it, and Wide was there. But another goal for Jatta to pull it back to 2-1 is a play that I'm impressed with. It's a player I'm really scared about facing on Thursday actually. And then the penalty right at the end, I thought he probably was a pen. And you'd back Jody Jones to score that like he did. But you mentioned the problems for the Notts County still maybe defensively at times. I mean, they kept a clean sheet the first game, so they can maybe take a little bit of, well, don't know what the word is, but encouragement from it. Fleetwood, very close to a good win at Meadow. Not many teams will win at Meadow Lane. Very close there, in what would have been 6 points from a possible 6 to start with. They'll probably be kicking themselves right at the end, the way they're thrown out.
Yeah, it's a big blow. 2 wins from 2 on your return to League 2 would be so big mentally. Just to not have that relegation, just lack of momentum. So it's just heartbreaking for them.
Yeah, it seems like they've almost settled in quite quickly. Their squad on paper looked decent. I mean, I think the main reason why, I certainly put them around the mid-table one was probably question marks about Charlie Adam, but I know it's still early to say, two games in, but there's certainly a lot of encouragement to take from those 2 games. Although I didn't think, like I said, I didn't think much of them when we played them last week when we lost there. But there was not much in the game. They had their shot and that went in, and I don't think they really threatened much more. They looked a bit more threatening today. They sort of did what they had to do, maybe at 2-0. Notts pegged them back a little bit. They had a spell in which they was all over them, to be quite frank. But you mentioned they need a goal scorer. They've obviously been playing with obviously we know that Jatta is probably their main striker. I think Kedwin Scott is around the same position. I'm not sure about goal scorer. I do think they probably need another striker, because I honestly think they'll be relying on Jatta, because the bloke is an absolute handful to deal with. Yeah, I'm just not sure what you think. I just think maybe another body that's maybe worthwhile, but probably not in the sense of, maybe they fork out for a 30-goal striker.
Yeah, I think they should get another one up front, just because David McGoldrick's been a little bit injury prone for them last season. If Jatta gets injured, then you're asking a lot of questions of Dan Crowley and all the other players to step up, and they've got the service to get goals. They just need someone that will finish all the chances.
Yeah, exactly. You mentioned Dan Crowley. His future's up in the air with MK Dons sniffing around. So if they get him, I mean, that could be a game changer. I mean, Dan Crowley's one of the best players in this league. He absolutely torched the shows last season, but I'm trying to think of a player who didn't. But yeah, 2 draws for Notts County. It's important they get a win pretty quickly, and they've got a good chance back at home again on Thursday against Grimsby. It's important they get that first win as quick as they can, isn't it?
Yeah, a win is just such a confidence booster and will just set them in good stead.
Absolutely. So that's that game. MK Dons, they've not had the start of the season that I think many people predicted. They've lost both their games so far. Lost to Colchester yesterday quite late on. Arthur Reed and Jack Payne, their former player, with the goal to give Danny Cowley's side the win in that one. MK, certainly slow starting. It may be a case, I still think they'll come good. There's still loads of time, and the squad is still full of quality, even more so if they get Dan Crowley and Jesus Christ. But I sort of get resemblance of maybe, I think, was it Stockport? I mean, Stockport have always been slow, other than this season in League One, of course. But Stockport have always been slow starting, then they just turn it on. I think that eventually with MK. Do you agree?
Yeah, MK will turn it around. Yesterday they created the chances. I don't know how they didn't score yesterday. They had so many great chances. It's just about finishing them and then keeping them out the other end. They will do well. They're not going to struggle. They'll be up there.
Yeah, like I said, there's still loads of time to change that. Although I think you probably do look at, I say lack of goals already. Again, 2 league games and they played 1 cup game in which, well, they've been hammered by a championship side, which is not. Well, I mean, it's not great, but it's also not. Yeah, you know what I mean. It's but Colchester, I think they needed a response for the way they threw it away at Wimbledon last week. Arthur Reed, it was a really nice composed finish from him, and then Jack Payne with a lovely. Of course, it was Jack Payne, a lovely little lobbed finish over the MK goalkeeper. It's a great win to start with for Dan Cowley. One that probably he needed after last week.
Yeah, last week would have been such a big blow to them, being 2-0 up in 10 minutes and then to lose 4-2 is just a huge blow. But they look really good going forward. Samson Tavide sending through Arthur Reed, and then Jack Payne just not panicking and just placing it over the keeper and in. Looks really, really promising for them.
Yeah, of course. What have you? I mean, we all know that we've made quite a bit on Colchester coming into the season. We do look at some of their transfer business. Just sort of as a bit of maybe a broader view, what have you maybe thought of Colchester coming into it? Because we all know their experience with some of the names in that squad, as well as the Cowleys, who have had success in the past.
Yeah, when you look at their squad on paper, it's probably up there with some of the best squads in the league. But it's just about making sure that they actually win the games that they should do and not slip up and have Wimbledon situations too often. They should be up there. They just got to make sure that they don't mess up too often, because that is such an easy thing to do in League Two. Anyone can beat anyone, but they've just got to make sure that they just be class above everyone else that they should be.
Yeah, of course, and I know we keep saying it a lot, but plenty of time to sort that. But it puts them in good stead, for them getting their first win and a few goals for them. Looks like they can score goals. Yeah, I'll be amazed. I'll be surprised. I'll be intrigued, not really surprised, to see how Colchester do, because we all know that they've had a couple of years in which they've languished down the bottom end of League Two. Not very nearly went down last year. I think if a couple of other results went against them, as well as other teams around them claimed a couple more results from the teams at the bottom, I'd reckon they'd have been banging trouble last year. But yeah, with the squad they've assembled, it's easily for me a top 7 side. But we'll see how they get on over the course of the season. But a good win yesterday. MK yet to really get going, I think it's probably safe to say. Right, we'll probably... In fact, no, we'll head off for a break first, actually. we forgot about that bit. Quick word from our sponsors, and we'll go into the next one. And we're back. Welcome back to everyone for the second half of this. We'll move on to a couple of the other talking points. I know you're here. There's probably not much to talk about for Bradford Walsall, but we should probably mention it from that goal line clearance.
Yeah, it looked like such a good clearance, and then you see the replays back, and it's like, how was the referee not seeing that? It was really weird because obviously from the Bradford away end, it's really hard to see like the other side of the goal. So, and then their Bradford fans was just cheering for ages, and it's like, surely that's gone in. But so it felt really weird. But I don't know how the referee didn't see it or the linesman, because by the time Negro's foot's actually stretching, the ball looks like it's crossed the line. They were adamant that it has crossed the line, but obviously Negro came out and said it didn't cross the line, but of course he'd say that. So
yeah, yes, of course.
You just hope that Bradford don't miss out on promotion by 2 points, because it would be such a blow when you score a goal and it gets cleared out, but it shouldn't have been.
Yeah, you're right. I think potentially could be the end of the season. We'd like to think it won't be, but it could be costly. It's one of those things, but the ball is clear as day over the line. I know what you mean from the Bradford when you can't really see much over at the other end of where the ball yeah, it's quite difficult to tell. But looking at the game, I didn't think there wasn't. I'm not sure. Well, you were obviously there. You probably had a second view, but didn't really look like much between the two sides. I'm going to be honest. Not a lot of quality in the game from what I saw.
No, we dominated one half. Bradford dominated the other half. Both sides just missed that strike. Just missed a striker that could take those half chances and score and win the game. So it's matchday 2. That'll come with just the amount of chances strikers will get. So it's nothing to be concerned about. Everything takes time, and I'm sure it'll click eventually.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you can certainly see what Bradford are trying to do. I thought I saw a lot of them on Tuesday. I mean, they rotated a little bit, but they certainly still had a strong side out. You can certainly see what they're trying to do. I think they're trying to be a fit side. I mean, it's what Graham Alexander is, as the type of manager is. He wants his sides to be fit. Probably not the most eye-catching football, but, I think for Bradford, I honestly think that he's very suited to their squad and some of their recruitment. But yeah, I mean, they've got goals in like Andy Cook and a couple of others. I mean, if Patterson can stay fit, you can see them being a real threat. What have you made of Salford so far? I mean, a draw and a defeat. First two games of the season, a defeat in the League Cup the other night as well. What have you sort of made of them so far? I know it's still early days, of course.
It's a worrying start, but it has been expected because Chesterfield next week, but Bradford and Port Vale in your first 2 games were never going to be easy. We were never going to play them and score 3-4 goals and dominate them. But not scoring yet. Cole Stockton's looked poor. He's certainly not a favourite already. There's been a lot of changes, so it will take time, but we just need to stick with it. And we want another striker, and I think that'll be huge for us because we brought on Marcus Dackers yesterday, and I don't know why we still bring him on. He's been really poor since we've got him, so we just need more time and more additions before the window closes.
Yeah, and I certainly get that with Salford. I think there's a few players, a bit of quality there, but I'm not sure if they've maybe got enough at the minute. I mean, you mentioned a striker. You probably mentioned. You mentioned Dackers and maybe a couple of others. I still think, yeah, there's certainly some additions to work on. I still think Stockton may be good. We all know how he can be, some of the quality that he could possess. But yeah, it's certainly no goals scored so far. Again, still early days. I've said it a lot. I'm going to keep saying it, but it is. It's true. But you'd have liked to have seen. Is it maybe a case of you just lacked a little bit of quality as well?
Yeah, for sure. We just need a bit more going forward. We look better at the back compared to last season, where we just every single attack just seemed to go in. So once we get scoring, I think we'll just be fine.
Yeah, and I agree. Like I said in my predictions, I didn't think Salford will do anything that special, if I'm going to be perfectly honest. But I don't think they could be as bad as that. Surely not. But and you'd probably like to think the same as well. But time will tell with that one. So no, that's interesting to know. With that, who else have we got? I think we probably look at Swindon. That one great, was it?
No, not for a first home game in charge for Mark Kennedy, losing 4-0 and having, I think, their biggest defeat since 2018. That's certainly not what he would have wanted. Grant Hall made a big mistake for the first one. It just seemed to get worse from there. They need a lot of improvement, and doesn't seem like it's going to get better with their ownership problems. Time will tell with them, but needs to be more.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Mark. I could be completely wrong here, but I'm not sure. They'll probably back Mark Kennedy. I don't know. You mentioned the goals. The first one is horrific from, I think it was Grant Hall. The way that Josh Gordon's been allowed to glide through there. The second one, Jamil Matt's got a header remarked. Taylor Allen for the third. It's a really, really good free kick. And again, maybe you maybe question the fourth as well with the amount of space in which the winger on the right, probably, I'm forgetting who it is. I do have it. Connor Barrett, I think it was, and the space that Albert Adoma had in the box was a real concern. But encouraging signs for Swindon. I think there was a lot of talk going into the season from their fans in which they wasn't really sure where the goals were going to come from, especially up front. They were looking at someone like Jamil Matt. We know that he's maybe got goals, but he's probably not the man you should maybe be relying on. And Josh Gordon, I think, was probably just low on confidence. I think he's had a couple of spells at Walsall now, isn't he? But a goal for him, I think, yesterday would have done him the world of good, if I'm going to be honest. So, 5 goals scored in their opening 2 games, none conceded. I think the top. Certainly encouraging for them.
Yeah, they're yet to concede. They've got Tranmere next week who have not scored yet, so they are good. They're going to have some tight games, and they just need to make sure they can edge them and just. They could be a good side. They just need to make sure they find that consistency over the season to maybe push for playoffs.
I think that consistency has been their biggest problem since coming down from League Two. They have been inconsistent at quite a few periods. I'm still not sure if this squad is fully ready for a playoff charge. If I'm going to be honest, I still think they need a couple of additions. I'm maybe not sure if they've maybe replaced someone like Isaac Hutchinson. I think he was a big play for them in midfield. I'm not sure if they've replaced him. I still think they need another striker. If I'm going to be honest, nothing against like Josh Gordon or Jamil Matt, but they're certainly not the answer for me. If I'm going to be honest, but I think whatever they do now might be nice. But a lot of questions maybe on Matt Sadler going into it. First season in charge last year, did an all right job. I think nothing spectacular. He had a bit of a poor run around Christmas, January time, and then I think it was around that. It might have been even earlier. Then they picked it up a little bit near the end, but it was very mid-table last year. What view? We do look at Walsall, and you have probably just answered it to us, but what more could we possibly expect from this Sadler side?
You'd hope that they can have a positive season, but you can never be sure with their consistency. I want them to do more because they are a good side, but just consistency.
Yeah, absolutely, and it'd be interesting to see how they progress. But an awful day at the office for Swindon Town. I'll be honest, it didn't look pretty yesterday at all, and it was still early days. Of course, I said it again. Should probably do a drinking game as to how many times I've said that. But it's certainly hugely concerning with some of the goals they conceded and some of the way some instances of play they had. Really poor. Really poor. There's not really much more to say. We'll go to Accrington. Their game against Harrogate. Really interesting game. This really fun game. Looked a really good game for the neutrals. 3-3. It's that first goal that sticks in my head. If you're telling me that is not the most Sunday League or even just League Two goal, it's definitely Sunday League goal that you've probably ever seen. I don't know what is, to be quite honest. Looked a really good game actually.
Yeah, probably the most surprising game because you look at Accrington and Harrogate on paper and you don't think that's going to be an exciting game. It was probably one of the games of the week. Just constant, Harrogate took the lead, then Accrington pulled them level. Harrogate went in the lead again, then Accrington pulled two more, and then Harrogate got an equaliser at the depth. It looked really interesting game for a neutral.
Yeah, it looked a really fun game. That's sort of to-in and throw-in a sense. But yeah, that first goal from James Daly was a mess. The equaliser from a cross, that was from a cross header, and Walton there with the rebound. And then Ellis Taylor's goal was good actually. That's the point. The way he's killed it from, I think it was from a short corner from the edge of the box. Quick response midway through the second half from Accrington to make it 2-2 and then 3-2. Again, only to throw it away in the last minute with Sam Fuller in for Harrogate. I think with the way that they performed and the result they picked up last week against Doncaster, I think they probably needed a win really, sort of to. I don't think a draw would have been. I still don't think it would have been the best of results, to be honest. And I still don't think it is, to be quite honest. I think that they'd be massively disappointed for the way they're throwing out and away last minute.
Yeah, for sure. Accrington they conceded so many goals already. It's a real worry. The positive is that they're scoring goals as well, but I'm so unsure on them. I think I need to see more of them and see them really push on, but I don't see them pushing on. They've got Newport away next week, which won't be an easy game for them. Big concerns over them.
Yeah, I tell you what, you mentioned that. It already does feel like a massive game for them, actually. You mentioned that the goals conceded 4 to Doncaster last week, 3 to Tranmere in the Cup the other night, and then another 3 to Harrogate this week. I mean, the plus side for that is maybe they've got a few goals in them. I mean, they got one last week against Donny. I mean, it meant nothing, but 3 goals against Harrogate for a side that, I certainly see that a lot from Harrogate. Their side, Harrogate, I really like Harrogate actually. They're a side that like to play the way they play football is quite on the eye. And I think for them with their late equaliser, with the fact they lost to Bromley last week, I think get on the board. I think it's probably not the worst results actually.
Yeah, it gives them something to build upon. It would have been disappointing last week to lose to Bromley, but they're building slowly and you don't expect them to pull up trees, and I don't think they will this season, but just a steady side that'll find their feet.
Yeah, there's not really much more to add, really. Although they did pretty well, actually, for the fact that they were in the playoff chase for a period around February, March time, but yeah, they drifted off, I say, quite quickly. They got hammered by Mansfield in one of the games, didn't they? But they're nothing special. Do I see them making the top 6? No. The top 7? No. Do I see them maybe even push for it? Probably not. Do I also see them in some sort of relegation battle? I don't know. Still early to call, but I know that a lot of people have predicted them to be down there. But I think they're probably the time that they've been up in League Two. I think they've probably sort of established themselves as a solid League Two side now. Is that maybe something you agree?
Yeah, they're definitely an established League Two side. Just one of those that you don't expect to be pushing up or falling down. They'll be all right.
Yeah. I've always been under that opinion, especially with Simon Weaver as their gaffer. is someone who I also rate a lot. So, yeah, probably a better point for Harrogate than for Accrington. Whiz through these other games really quickly. Bromley, what a start for Bromley. 2 wins from 2 in their first 2 games as a Football League club. Their fans must be dreaming right now.
Yeah, it's a really, really good start. Obviously, they played Wimbledon in the Cup on Tuesday and lost, so it is the perfect response to that. Michael Cheek just absolutely ruthless, just doing what you'd expect him to do. Everyone knew he'd come into the league and score goals, and that's what he's done so far. He's got his second of the season. They haven't conceded yet as well. Grant Smith made a good save towards the end. They could actually have a really promising season and really go under the radar.
And I've always thought that. I mean, I think since they've been up, I think I've banged the drum of I think Bromley can be a really solid team. I do maybe question if they've maybe got enough quality to maybe push for a playoff place. But I've always been under the impression that they won't be anywhere near the bottom 2. I've always been under that impression. I mean, Michael Cheek getting on the score sheet yesterday, he's been one of the best strikers in the National League for years. And I'm not surprised now that he's finally doing it in the Football League, which the fact it's taken him this long to be playing in League 2, I think, I don't know why. I really don't know why. The bloke's a quality striker. And he took his goal yesterday really well. It was a really good build-up play from him. I think he started it and he certainly finished it with a great finish. And yeah, the second goal was a bit scrappy, but they'll take it. I just see Bromley as a bunch of they're a big side, aren't they? You know, they're always going to be strong defensively. They're not going to give too much away, threat from set pieces, which is what they were in the National League. My only real maybe concern is the fact that once they play a team that's got a little bit more sort of trickery, bit of flair about them, where they might maybe come unstuck if they're playing aggressive, attacking way of football. Maybe they could come unstuck there a little bit, but I mean, no, there's certainly signs there in which they could have a pretty good season by their accounts in their first year as a Football League club.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Next week they go to Bradford, and I'm really excited to see the outcome of that game because that will test them a lot. Obviously, they won't be used to playing in front of a crowd like Bradford's, so it'll be really interesting to see how they get on next week.
Good point there, and I think that Bradford are sort of similar side, but I just think they possess a little bit more quality. Disappointing for AFC Wimbledon. I mean, Bromley took their own back after Wimbledon beat them in the cup, but I mean, they obviously won their first game, but yeah, certainly disappointing one for them.
Yeah, it seemed like they dominated the ball and had more of the chances, just couldn't finish them all off. And on another day, it potentially could have gone their way, because it literally happened on Tuesday that it did go their way. So I don't think Wimbledon will be in any trouble. I don't think they'll pull up any trees over this season. Just probably another steady season.
I'm yet to decide on Wimbledon. I think I do need to see a little bit more from them. Because they had a solid season by all accounts last year, and then they were somewhat challenging, but it drifted out pretty quickly, especially near the end. There's no denying there's a good squad there, but I don't know. I need to see more from them. It's too early to say, but like I said, they did have chances. I think Bugel had a couple. There was some good saves from, I think it was Grant Smith, if I'm right in saying, the Bromley goalkeeper in a second. He pulled off a really good double save from what I remember watching. But yeah, on another day, it could have been different, but they've just fallen short. But it's how they respond now. Maybe did half expect it. Maybe after beating Bromley in the week that maybe they'd get their payback. Probably. I don't know. It's for everyone else to decide on that one. But good win for Bromley. That 2 wins from 2. They'll be really pleased. That's for sure. Carlisle, a 1-0 win in a Cumbrian derby against Barrow. Didn't seem much in the game. I mean, they took their goal really well. It was Daniel Ajay. I believe I said that right. Maybe question marks, perhaps on Theo Fassel. He's claiming a foul in the build-up to the goal. I say absolutely no way. I don't know what you think.
It was a foul. He was
It
quite
looks like a
erratic.
strip over his feet.
Yeah, he was quite erratic at Salford, and it just looked like he fell over nothing, and then just claimed a foul, which I don't know why he'd do. I think Paul Farman should probably do better for the goal. It went in quite easily, and then I didn't see any of the game, but I'm unsure. At least Carlisle got a clean sheet for the first time in ages, which would be a huge help to them, getting their confidence defensively back, and they should do all right and build from it.
Yeah, which is a bonus, actually, especially for the 4 goals they shipped at Gillingham last week. Yeah, like I said with the other side, it just looks like he tripped over his own feet. It'd have been ridiculously harsh if that was given. But you mentioned the clean sheet. Very nearly lost it right at the end. Andy Dallas getting on a ball in from Kiyate minutes from time, but I think it was given of offside, I think. But my favourite part of that was the Carlisle tweet. Unlucky lads. I found that quite amusing, but yeah, sickener actually for Barrow in the end. That I felt.
Yeah, you obviously can't tell from watching the highlights, but it was bizarre how much space he had. So you do just presume he was offside. But big blow for Barrow. They've won one against Crewe and now lost this week. Be interesting to see how they get on in the future.
Yeah, of course. I think they'll obviously be disappointed with that yesterday, but I think they didn't really see much in the games. They didn't see much against Crewe, to be honest. Either I remember Crewe hitting the post, but they took their goal really well that day. But yeah, there's certainly something. There's certainly something to build on. I want to just get your thoughts maybe on Stephen Clements, who's now there now. He obviously was at Gillingham for a period last season. Did all right, not great, but all right. I think for Gillingham standards. I mean, they didn't really sort like the goal scoring issue out massively. Although I feel like that was more of a squad issue than maybe him. But Gillingham decided to get the boot. Barrow taking a chance with him after Pete Wild left. What have you maybe thought of him so far? Going back to the appointment, what do you think of that?
It obviously came as a shock because no one expected Pete Wild to leave, and I'm unsure on Stephen Clements because he obviously went into Gillingham again after a surprise departure of Neil Harris, so it was never going to be an easy job for him. But the problems were always obvious for Gillingham, that they didn't score enough, and he didn't seem to fix that. So I think Barrow's a great chance for him to reinvent himself and be a good manager, but it'll be interesting to see how he gets on.
Yeah, I think with the greatest respect to Barrow, I think he's sort of gone in there with not much expectation than probably what there is at Gills. I mean, they've spent a lot of money, haven't they? I just feel with Barrow, I think they're sort of quietly doing their thing. I think that they have been for the past few years when Pete Wild was there, sort of just gone really quite under the radar, and maybe that could be the blessing that he maybe needs. That's the opinion I get, for the fact that there's maybe not as much pressure to maybe do well with probably the size of what Barrow are and the way they run. I think they're smartly run, aren't they? But you can see that he's trying to stamp his authority and things. There's a couple of nice things in there, but yeah, disappointed for them yesterday, especially with the way that they nearly nicked a point right at the end in a local derby. That hurt me. There's no other way to describe that. But big win for Carlisle, much needed, I think, after last week at Gills with the 4 goal shift there. We'll touch on our final game, Port Vale Tranmere, another draw for Tranmere, another clean sheet. Maybe question about their lack of goals or such, but again, 2 games in, not really looking at that too much at the minute, if I'm going to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, it's too early to have any major concerns about any team, really. So, obviously, goals at this stage is important and nice, but I don't think it's a huge problem that they've not.
Yeah, I mean, you can maybe say that they probably should have scored at Tranmere with the chance that Amari Patrick had with the mess in defence with the goalie and the defender. It was a really good interception to deny him, but it did certainly seem like Port Vale had the better of the chances. Ethan Chiswick had a good one. Jaden Stockley with a header. A win and a draw, not the worst of starts by any means, that's for sure, for Port Vale, especially against Tranmere, who at the minute with 2 clean sheets look defensively solid. I think a point seems probably fair from looking at it, but I also think it could be a really good point.
Yeah, to be unbeaten again, like Fleetwood, since coming down, is a really good sign and a good start. They've made some impressive signings, and I trust Darren Moore to try and put them on a really good run that will get them back into League One.
Yeah, of course. And we saw that they won their opening game at Salford. What did you make of them then? I'm assuming you watched that one.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of it. It was hard to tell because both teams were obviously missing that little bit of quality, and both their goals came from set pieces. So if you can score through set pieces, you're going to give yourself a massive chance. And we've seen that a lot this week as well, with obviously Jordan Davies getting 2 goals, both from free kicks. Obviously one he took and the other one was crossed into the box. So if you can do that, then you give yourself a really good chance of winning. So it'll be interesting to see how they get on.
Yeah, it's very much a solid start. I think they've probably. I think if I was a Port Vale fan, I'd be buzzing with the start they've made actually a win at Salford and a draw against Tranmere. They've, like I said, looks at the minute defensively resolute, but for Tranmere, it's trying to find the clinical touch. I think it's probably safe to say, but they've got some good players in which they certainly can be that. I just maybe worried about their maybe technical players, perhaps. I think they probably do miss someone like a Rob Apter, if I'm going to be perfectly honest. But they've got some big players in there who do know where the back is, but the back of their net is. It's just taking a little bit of time more than most for them.
Yeah, they probably should have had their first goal when Omari Patrick was taken down. I know Mike Dean took to Twitter and Instagram to criticise the decision, which was a bit bizarre for a former referee to do.
Did it?
Yeah, he put it on his Instagram. Yeah, he was saying that the referee missed a red card and free kick, which was bizarre, but they'll be disappointed because if it is given, then it's a huge 3 points for them. But League Two will level itself out, so.
Fair enough. I need to find that back because I'm not sure which one is maybe looking at. Surely you want the Amari Patrick one that I'm thinking of. Amari Patrick, I think, could be a really big player for them, actually. Probably didn't have the best of spells at Sutton and maybe Carlisle, who's a bit hit and miss, but they seem to really like him over there. I think he could be their big player for them this year. Yeah, good point, I think, for a draw probably on the balance of play seemed a fair result. Two clean sheets for Tranmere, again, is a positive sign. The fact that they can keep clean sheets, they're probably not going to concede those, but honestly, I do think their goals will come. It's just a matter of time. But no, that's pretty much it for this week. I don't think there's much more to add, especially for my part. I think we'll wrap it up there. So, Jake, is there anything else you want to add before we get going?
Keep following the socials and just liking the YouTube and all that stuff.
Yeah, pretty much what he said. Make sure to download the podcast, wherever you get your podcasts from. Obviously, follow the YouTube and all that. Follow our personal pages on Twitter and all that sort of stuff. A couple of things in the pipeline, really exciting things in the pipeline. I'm not going to give too much away just yet, but yeah, you just have to wait and see for that one. We'll obviously be back next Sunday, hopefully with a full cast. We should hopefully have Luke back and Kieran. It'd be nice to see him back. He did say that he might try and make next week. Although I do feel by the time we do get to next Sunday, with Grimsby playing Thursday, I do sort of think that that game might become out of date pretty quickly, actually. But we'll see. But I mean, it should be all right, I guess. Thursday night's going to be weird. Like you think that we're playing in Europe. The fact that there's a League Two game on Thursday night, not an evening in Nottingham. I mean, I'm all for it. I love Notts County away. It just seems a bit weird. So
Weirdest
yeah,
Thursday game last season. They are just bizarre.
They are, and it has ruined what is our best away this season for the fact that we probably could have taken 3,000, now probably about 1.5. But that's a discussion for another day. I'll probably discuss it more next week, where I'm probably moaning that we've lost 2-0. But we'll hit that when it comes. So yeah, thank you guys for listening. Make sure you follow all our pages, and I'll speak to you again next week. But until then, bye for now.